Now that we know the parts involved in building an OWIN-based application, let's have a look at how they work together. The first thing that happens is that a client of some sort creates a connection to the server and sends an HTTP request through it. In most cases, this would probably be a person requesting a web page on the internet using a browser. The server then takes the incoming HTTP request, parses it, and breaks it into smaller predefined pieces. It then takes those pieces and puts them into a dictionary of type string object, together with some other things like a stream to hold the response and a dictionary to hold the response headers, for example. It uses predefined keys when it adds the values to the dictionary. That way the other parts in the system know what keys to use to get hold of the parts they need from that dictionary. And this would be the environment dictionary I talked about before. The server then passes the environment dictionary to the first middleware in the pipeline using the app func. It then uses the return task to wait for the application to signal that it's done with its processing. The middleware then inspects the dictionary and makes whatever changes it is supposed to do to it, or executes whatever other functionality it's supposed to execute based on the information inside that dictionary. Once the middleware is done doing its thing, it passes the dictionary on to the next middleware in the pipeline that does its thing, and then passes it on. And it keeps on going like that until it reaches the application. The application then generates a response to send back to the client based on the information in the dictionary. Information like the requested path and request headers and things like that. It then sets any response headers that it has to set before writing the response to the response stream. The server is set up to get notified of the first write to the response stream. And as soon as it notices that write, it crafts an HTTP response message, including the HTTP response headers that are in the response headers collection at that point, and sends it back to the client. This marks the point where you can't make any more changes to the response headers collection, as it's already been sent to the client. You can, however, add more things to the response body, because the connection is still open, and anything written to the stream will be sent to the client until the connection is closed. The application then passes the dictionary back to the last middleware in the pipeline, allowing it to do its thing as the response is going back to the client. When that middleware is done doing its thing, it passes the dictionary on to the previous middleware that does its thing before passing it on. The dictionary is passed on like this, from middleware to middleware, until it reaches the beginning of the pipeline. But do remember, middlewares inspecting the dictionary on the way out cannot make any changes to the response headers, and they can only append things to the response stream. Once the dictionary reaches the beginning of the pipeline, the server is notified of the completion of the processing by the task that was returned from the app func. The server then finalizes the sending of the response to the client before closing the connection. As I mentioned before, there is technically no difference between the application part and the middleware, except for the fact that the application is specifically built to generate a response, while a middleware is generally built for the environment dictionary to pass through. However, there's nothing that stops a middleware from short-circuiting the pipeline and generating a response if it feels that it has enough information to do so.